This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'd like to be joined by trainer Shane McGuigan here in Liverpool. Shane, first and foremost, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. It feels very weird. We're sitting in a dark room, but everything else was taken, so here we are, with the light on at least.
Here we are indeed. We're just outside where the press conference was today. I didn't catch you immediately after the press conference. There's a few words exchanged today, not so much from your side, but Joe McNally had a few things to say, and Liam Smith as well. What was going through your head when all of that was sort of going on?
When Joe McNally piped up, I felt like it was excitable, sort of nervous energy, because he's not used to being up on the top stage, you know what I mean? You need to filter yourself before saying stuff, you know what I mean? And he just sort of blurted a few things out, but he hasn't been working with Liam Smith a long time. Liam Smith's had a Canelo fight. He's had huge mega fights where he's been on the top table many times, and he's used to it and sort of keeps calm. But yeah, all these things that you bottle in for weeks and weeks in training camp, sometimes you can blurt them out in the wrong way, and I think that's what happened with Joe McNally today.
Anthony didn't really say that much today. He's been very businesslike all week, actually. I interviewed him yesterday and it was exactly the same. Do you think we're seeing a more mature Anthony Fowler going into this fight?
Well, he's going to need to be, because this is going to need a mature performance. This isn't going to need a reckless, immature performance to beat Liam Smith. You're going to have to be calculated with everything you do. And I think that's showing in the way he's taken towards this fight. Do you know what I mean? He needs to approach it with a sensible head on his shoulders, and he's doing that so far. So everything that we've done in training camp has been absolutely spot on, and I really mean that. You know, everyone goes into the fight week saying, "Oh, this and that." Training camp's been amazing, but this one really has. We came into camp the weight that he normally walks in the ring at. Because he only had a week off or whatever it was, or 10 days off from the last fight, and yeah, he's flying. But there's a lot that can go wrong in the last week, and what I'm really impressed with is the way he's kept measured and kept calm. Hasn't let this because it's not just a massive fight domestically, it's a massive local derby. Do you know what I mean? It's two guys in a city that are coming out here to sort of stamp their authority, and everyone wants the spot as in the number one, not just the number one in the UK, but it's also number one in Liverpool, and there's a lot on the line. So he's done himself really proud coming to this fight week, and that just shows you how quietly confident he is.
We know Liam Smith, we know what he's about. He's not going to change at the stage of his career. Pressure fighter, you were sort of talking about today. How important is discipline for Anthony Fowler on Saturday night?
Massively so, do you know what I mean? But also, not just discipline, sticking to the game plan, but also discipline to be able to just, on the fight day as well, take everything in your stride. So there's plenty of things that he needs to be measured with, and he's done that up to date. So, we are going to have to be very selective in the way we fight. Liam Smith shells up well. He pushes the fight calm. He doesn't come in rushed, and a lot of pressure fighters, once they come in all frantic and they get there, you get a bit overwhelmed by the franticness, but then after 2 rounds you start settling down, because that's just what happens, because they're using and expending so much energy to get in close. But Liam Smith is the opposite. He creeps in calm. He's got a tight defence. He shells up well. He's hard to penetrate the guard. But with that in mind, that is down to us to then overcome those that clever, intelligent pressure. So, and that's something that I know that we will do. There's loads of ways to shut down Liam Smith, and there's loads of ways to outbox him and pick him off and do damage at length, and then also be able to work with him in close. So that's why it's such an intriguing fight. People think it's a fight at two halves. I'm not so sure. I believe Fowler will have enough. He'll pick up enough in the first 6 to completely conduct the fight in the last 6.
That's where I was kind of going to go with this. You mentioned that people are talking about this as a fight of two halves, and Liam's mentioned a few interviews this week that he feels he's going to come on strong down the back stretch, and that might kind of be where he's looking. Anthony Fowler inside out. You've seen him. How good is his engine? How prepared is he to go into them deep waters towards the back end of the fight if he needs to?
Massively so. I really don't believe it was until he came to the gym. Until he come in, did 12 round sparring, was training at an intensity on the pads. I don't just do 4 rounds on the pads and then let them hit the bag. I do 10, 12 rounds on the pad sometimes, and people might say, it's going to be a short coaching career, but that replicates a spar day in, day out, and then the days that you're not on the pads, you're sparring. So it's like getting accustomed to, championship level rounds the whole time he's been in the gym, which is nearly 2 years now, a year and a half, whatever, or just over a year and a half. So that you wouldn't say to a marathon runner, all right, there you go and run 5 miles all the time, and then go and do different forms of training. You need to go and prepare for the long distance, and that's something he's been doing. He's a quality sparring in there. Liam Smith is a seasoned operator, but if he's thinking in his head that this is a 6-round fight in terms of, do maybe nick 1 or 2 early on and then try and push down the stretch, that's a dangerous place to be. It's also, if you've got a good coach in your corner, like he had before with Joe Gallagher, someone that will be calm if he's 4 rounds down, 5 rounds down after 6 rounds, and then not panicking him. And there's so much on the line for Liam Smith as well, from an emotional standpoint. It's like, okay, he needs to save face. If he's 6 rounds down, is he going to get over reckless? Because that's something that he never does naturally. He doesn't do that. If you watch him walk down Sam Meggington, everything was done calm. Whereas if he starts really panicking, there's 9,000 people in there on Saturday night, a lot of his fans as well, and he's thinking, God, I need to really force this. I ain't going to get beaten on points by Anti-Fowler. Hell no. And then he might walk into something. So let's see. There's a lot of factors and lots of variables in this one, and I'm confident.
Just to move away to all things McGuigan, Jim, I was down there to watch Lawrence Okoli defend his WBO Cruiserweight title in fairly emphatic fashion. Pretty straightforward night for him in the end. You must have been happy with what you saw from Lawrence.
Yeah, definitely so. Look, it wasn't the most clinical, sharp performance. He missed a few times, but he had a guy in there that, let's be honest, he couldn't get up for him. He knew that he was gonna bounce him off the canvas at some stage, and I think he just was a little bit lax. He needs these guys that are genuinely going to test him, and I believe there's only 2 or 3 people in the cruiserweight division that's got the capability of doing that. You've got Egorov, Gulamari, and both of those guys would give him a hard fight, but they would both lose to him. And then you've got Makabu, who is awkward, so it might be awkward, and he might nick a few rounds, but he ain't going to land on Lawrence Okoli because he's 5'11", and Okoli's nearly 6'6", with a 6'9" reach. And Lawrence won't do it as emphatically as Tony Bellew did it, but he also won't get dropped like Bellew did. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll just shut him off completely and probably stop him late on. And then you've got the real acid test, which is Bradis. Now that's the only real acid test in my opinion. And we want that one next. Because why not? Really, because why not? If he knocks out the winner of Gulamari and Egorov, and then he knocks out Makabu, Bradis won't want to fight him. He'll probably want to choose somebody else to box. Do you know what I mean? Up at heavyweight or someone. So that's why let's get it now. When he's coming off of a performance where he missed a little bit, yeah, he got the win. He did what he had to do. But I think now is the right time for Okoli versus Bradis. And trust me, on our side, we want it big time.
Just to move on to your new recruits, I've seen you around this week with Ellie Scotney, who you announced the other day, and Robbie Davis Jr. has been about as well. Let's start with Ellie then, because that was the one you announced most recently. Talk to me about how that all came about.
That is, I got approached by Ellie, I don't know how long ago now. She hasn't been in the gym that long, but she was obviously with Adam before, and whatever went on there, I don't really know, but she's come into the gym. She asked to do a trial, and I said, yeah, not a problem. She did a week, and then she did another week, and we sort of mutually agreed after about 6 days or whatever it was, working together, that that this is going to work out for both sides, and she's got a fantastic future ahead of her. I really believe so. She's probably one of the most technically gifted fighters that there is out there, not just in the female boxing, but also in male. I mean, like all the guys watching the pads and the way she punches in combination in close, she's compact, catches and fires well. She's just got it all. We've got to figure out what weight she's going to do, and she needs a lot. She's a lot of. At the same time, she still needs a lot of work. She needs to learn how to punch through a target, because she can punch. She just hasn't been doing it, and she hasn't been punching with the right intent. Now, that takes a bit of time to learn how to really drive the shot through, and not just at the target. You're aiming half a foot behind. But that's all stuff that we're gonna work on, and we have been doing so for the last 3-4 weeks, whatever it's been. So, yep, she's going to be out on October 30th. It's going to be announced soon. So we need to get an opponent, and then honestly, I believe it's like 1-2 fights, and then we want to fight for a world title, because she would beat Ebony Bridges in the morning. She beat Rachel Bourne in the morning. I think Shannon Scotney out there as well. Shannon Courtney out there. So I think that's a solid fight for us as well. Good domestic rivalry. Obviously, used to be at the same gym. But if we're not going to compete at bantamweight, then we might. I think Eddie's just signed a super bantamweight as well. That's a WBA world champion or something. So there's potentially some decent tests out there. You know what I mean? We just need to progress. And the thing about the female boxing is that you just catapult through the rankings really quickly, and there's not a lot of tests until you get up to the top level. But with that in mind, let's just keep working.
Robbie Davis Jr., he's spoken quite openly about the frustrations he's had over the last sort of couple of years trying to get fights and this, that and the other. He's now joined forces with yourself. I'm sure you would have wanted to be out on a bill like this, but where is he at the minute, and when can we expect to see him?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because he's in that catchment situation. It's like, all right, well, you're going to be promoters are going to want to use you to build up their fighters off your name, so they're going to try and sling you in. But he's happy to be slung in. Do you know what I mean? He can really fight. He's had a couple of stinkers in his performances. He's boxed way out of sorts when he boxed Ritson, and then obviously in his last one. Thinking about Robbie is he's very coachable. But he's also very emotional, so he draws himself into shitty situations and lets things overwhelm him. Now, he needs to stay calm and measured in those situations, and sometimes if he's got a good rapport with someone, that someone would be able to do that. And I feel like, I wouldn't have taken this task on if I didn't believe Robbie Davies could do something, and I really believe he's going to do something. So we want to get a warm-up, and then we want to go out in December in a big fight. It would be stupid there's James Tennyson that's been mentioned, and that's the fight that we really want. They apparently are humming and hawing about it, but he's 1 minute he's going to move to 140, then the next minute he's going to stay at 135. It was going to be on this card, and then he said he was going to train, I don't know, something was going on from his personal life, so we got to respect that. But look, if you want the fight, take the fight. If not, say that you don't want the fight, because he's dicking us about. But it's a fight that Robbie's going to win, massively so. And then if it's not him, let's go elsewhere. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people out there. Let's get the Ritson rematch. He'll beat Ritson hands down. So there's lots of decent fights out there, but we just need to get off of them. I think him coming to a new gym's going to give him a new lease of life, and I think a lot of people will be a little bit hesitant to say, oh, maybe there's something left in him. Maybe we don't take that fight. Maybe we see what he's like when he boxes somebody else, and then we'll take him, or then we won't take him. But it's a gamble. Come on, step up and take the fight, because he's got something to give. I would like, to be honest, either Tennyson, someone like that. If he beats Tennyson, which he will, let's get Baranchek. Let's get a former world champion. And he just needs someone to get behind him. And I think Eddie, look, we've had a couple of good discussions today. Obviously Eddie's got a new platform. He's got his ambitions, and his TV's got his ambitions. But they still need people like Robbie Davies Jr. that are nice, genuine, humble people that are willing to take fights, that can sell tickets. That's exactly Robbie Davies. He's a promoter's dream almost. Do you know what I mean? Because he can sell. He can sell. He's happy. He's a decent lad. He draws good views, and everyone loves him. So get on side, people.
Just to touch on the other guys in the gym, obviously you got Chris Billum-Smith in there, Daniel DeBar, and the Azim brothers have been announced, I believe, for the Boxer show. They're going to be out. Busy times for you. Give us a little update on where we're going to be seeing everybody. 9
fighters. We've got 8 that's revealed. We've got 1 more to be revealed. We'll do that probably next week or the week after. It's a great place. I mean, you've got Chris, who's British, Commonwealth and European. You've got Robbie, who's also been that level. You've got Fowler, who's about to jump onto world scene, in my opinion. You've got Okoli, who's world champion. You've got Dan Dubois, who's been British champion, needs a couple of big fights, but then he's ready to be jumped in, or so thrown in to the real elite fighters at the heavyweight division. So we've got 5 championship level fighters, and then we've got Ellie, who's just 2-0, and then we've got Adam, who's 1-0. We've got Hassan that's making his debut on November the 20th. The Azim boys are going to make their their boxer debut on that. So, and then we've got another person that's going to be making a debut as well. So yeah, it's a nice mix of championship level fighters and also prospects coming through, because if you just have 9 championship fighters, then it's like us as human beings, we're naturally lazy. Right? So if you've been pro 6 years, 7 years, in the circus you think, I'll tell you what, I'll hold back. I'll just rein it in a little bit. But when you've got someone that hasn't even had their debut yet and they're training with a world champion, trust me, on them curves, they're putting 100% effort in every single time. They're emptying the tank. And that's not just to say that we've also got some fighters that Josh Pritchard's working. We've got Jack Hilliard, Joseph Butler, 2 young, hungry pros as well. So everyone's pushing themselves on in the gym. The gym's booming. It's always busy. We've got quality sparring all the time. It's a really good environment and a place to be. And I can go home at night and sometimes reflect on the day and think, geez, that's a quality day. We've seen some amazing sparring that day, or we've seen incredible, bits of, we've done some really interesting bits of work with those fighters, and when you can reflect on it and think, oh, look, we've really set a nice environment here, and definitely makes me proud for sure.
I always ask you about your fighters, but let's actually talk about you then, because I don't think I can ever recall you having so many fighters in the gym in the time I've known you. You enjoy them being this busy? Do you think it's good for you?
Yeah, I think so. I like boxing. I like boxing at the moment as well. So I go through waves. I go through waves thinking, do you know what? It's not a job, but I go through waves thinking, do you know what, the business. I've always loved my job, but the business side of things can get you down. And it can really weigh on you. And you think, do you know what? Why isn't my fighter getting this opportunity? If we had 9 Robbie Davies in the gym, it would be a really sour place to train. Do you know what I mean? In the sense, like, his situation. But the fact that we've got other people that are world champions, it actually lifts people like Robbie, because Robbie's, he's going to get his opportunity for sure. But it's just him being around people that are training for world titles and stuff like that. It just lifts everybody. And yeah, I'm super busy. I haven't had a break in a long time. I was away over Christmas with Campbell. I mean, we went out to Dallas on the 22nd or 23rd of December. We spent Christmas Day. We trained twice. It was grim. And then we had New Year's over there as well before Ryan Garcia fight. But these are all memories and life experiences. And, when I'm 50, 60 years of age and I've packed it all in, I want to be able to look back and say, do you know what? Did you maximise yourself? And I know with 9 fighters in the gym, I'm definitely maximising my potential of my end goal, and that's to train as many world champions as possible.
Shane, before I let you go, I want to finish with a bit of heavyweight talk. Busy times for the heavyweight division. You were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as was I. We saw Joshua Usyk. We saw the Unified Heavyweight Championship change hands. Just your reflections on the fight and what you made of not only what we saw from Anthony Joshua, but the brilliance of Alexander Usyk as well.
Disappointing. I mean, we did that podcast, didn't we? And I broke it down in different ways, and I thought all of the things that I was going to break down. I thought, do you know what? At one stage, Anthony Joshua was going to just say, fuck this, bite down the gum shield and go through the gears, and just use his big man strength and bully him and boss him about. But I said, if he stands off for the first 5-6 rounds and tries to play the quick game, he's going to miss a lot, and he's going to get fatigued. And then when he does press the fight, he's going to be a bit reckless. And he was disheartened by missing, and he was disheartened by the fact that he couldn't beat him at his own game. There's a way to beat Alexander Usyk, and there's a way that Anthony Joshua can beat Alexander Usyk, but he needs to come to terms with those things. And I believe he will. He needs to do the right thing, create order in the corner. I've never worked with AJ, and I don't know what I haven't really talked to him very much. But there comes a point in a fight where you say, you might be employing me, but fuck that. I don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you what to do, right? And if you're going to lose your 3 belts, it's, you know what I mean? It's make or break, because that's the importance of heavyweight boxing, is who holds the belts. And now Usyk holds the belts. He has the control. And it's not just like, okay, you're a marquee name, you can still go and sell out stadiums, because it's not really about that. It's about who holds the belts. It's position of power all the time. You can't go in to challenge Tyson Fury. If you don't take that rematch and then Usyk goes and boxes Tyson Fury, loses, and Tyson Fury is the undisputed. He's not going to give Anthony Joshua a shot. He might say he will, but he won't. Because there's egos and there's so many things that the belts need to force that fight to happen. Now, he doesn't have the belts. He has to get it right for the next one. Because he will beat Alexander Usyk. I know there's brilliance, but Usyk's been brilliant since he was in the Olympics. You've got to just understand that he's brilliant, have no respect for him. Don't be, you know what I mean, going to his level. Don't be doing what he wants you to do, take selfies or play into his tune. Ignore him. Blinkers on. You know what I mean? So, he didn't do it. And I think he will do it in the return, but he needs to go and really assess what went wrong then. And he has to do it, not other people around him assessing it. He has to sit down, analyse it, assess what went wrong, make his mind up.
Final one, Shane. Big fight in Las Vegas this weekend, the trilogy bout, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I'm sure you, the same as I've seen them little snippets of Deontay working with Malik Scott. What do you think he will try to do differently, and what can he do differently to avoid a repeat result?
We're talking about respect in the corner, right? We're talking about a guy that's employed somebody to come to his house to train him in his environment, and so he's got control of that situation all of the time. If Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, really needed to win this fight, he's gonna do better than he did in the second fight. He didn't win the first fight; he lost on points, quite wide, in my opinion. So, the two knockdowns, the one, what was it, the 7th or 8th or something, and then the one in the last round. That and maybe one other round, or that, and those were the rounds that he really won, really. So going into the the return, he wasn't there, but you need to go and completely rebuild. Get out of your comfort zones. Don't stay in your sort of ranch and stay there and bring somebody in to train you on site. That's not what's going to make him better. And also, it's a guy that he knocked out. And look, I'd never fought professionally, right? So, boxers might not respect me, but a lot of people do respect. The people that want to work with me, they're going to respect me, right? And that's what we're going to set. We're going to set the boundaries. Okay, I'll be the boss in this situation. Yes, you can pay me, but I'm the boss in this situation. It's, you know what I mean? That's the way it works, and if not, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? And Malik Scott is a guy that got hit with half a shot against Deontay Wilder and fell over. Like, when the going gets tough, Deontay Wilder's ego is far too big to take instructions, and it will be the same outcome. And he's doing all that, he's trying to roll underneath and throw body shots and punches. Like, I genuinely believe the way to win this fight for Wilder or any heavyweight that's boxing Tyson Fury is to fire underneath the jab, the right hand to the body underneath the jab, and then once you hit that, you can climb up. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's with 3 punches, 4 punches, or 2 punches, just a right hand, left hook. But that's the way to do it. You know what I mean? And then once he steps back, you go on the second phase. But you can't. He tried in the first fight to punch over him. Fury was dipping down and got nailed with 2 shots. The 2 times he dipped, he got nailed at the end of the shot, and that's what did it. Because, as I said in that heavyweight debate, the power that Wilder's punches, the trajectory of it is all about where he generates his power. Once it goes down onto a shot, that's when he generates his power, because he spent his whole life punching down on people. He stands tall, he's 6'7.5", whatever he is. So he's in there with the bigger man. The way he needs to do it is fire into the body and climb up. But by rolling and trying to throw them big wide shots to the body, it's just not him. And he's trying to punch in combination. That's not him. He needs to work on moving his feet and using the jab and shooting in and speeding everything up, and not just trying to set all the time, because he sets, and he was just getting offset by Tyson Fury in that second one. So I don't think the outcome's going to be any different. I think he might last a little bit longer, but the same outcome. Fury knew what went wrong. It was quite a simple thing that he changed in the second fight, and he just stood tall. He big manned him. He got over the top of him. If he stood back, he stood tall. He never tried to crouch down to his level and sort of play that same game. And that's why it will be. In my opinion, it will be the same outcome.
All right, Shane, thank you for making time in this very dark, dingy corner of the hotel. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll catch you very soon. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, mate.